What's up, fantasy champions? Spotlight Sports Network is excited to tell you about an amazing deal from Thrive Fantasy, your place for daily fantasy sports and esports. Right now with promo code SS Network, Thrive Fantasy will match up to $50 of your first deposit. So go to thrivefantasy.com and sign up now with promo code SS Network. That's thrivefantasy.com, promo code SS Network. Do you like the Oakland A's? Are you a fan of the Golden Knights? Do you love the Los Angeles Chargers? Well then, my friend, you're in the right place. This is the Snake Sports Talk Show with your host, Jake the Snake SIlva, brought to you by the Spotlight Sports Network.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's that time again, and it's a crazy Maniac Monday here on the Spotlight Sports Network. It's the Snake Sports Talk Show wherever and however you may be watching and listening. We are all over all of social media. We're on the grid on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and also on Twitter, Periscope, and you can follow me on Instagram as well. Follow me on all social media platforms. Like, subscribe, and hit the bell button for all latest notifications on future and past episodes, just to keep you up to date. Very, very excited for all of you guys to be here with me tonight. And we've got a lot to go through. What's going on, Cincinnati crew? We just have so much news to break down. By the way, NBA free agency. It's been nuts. Guys are kind of staying in their positions. Some of them are up on the move. We may have some trades coming in here and there. We don't quite know. But we've got it all covered for you guys here on the Snake Sports Talk Show. I want to start with this because apparently all of the city and the state of Indiana is just going nuts because they make one trade and now the trade doesn't seem like it's panning through. So the latest with the Indianapolis Colts, Carson Wentz decides to have surgery on a foot injury that he suffered in practice. And the timetable, it's small, okay? It's only about 5 to 6, probably close to 12 weeks on the surgery recovery. Something so small. I know what a lot of people are going to say, and I have colleagues of mine who are Eagles fans and Colts fans, and I've been hearing it all day. But let me just tell you this. Indianapolis and the fans there are in a state of panic. Why? First of all, look at what you have in the AFC South. Okay, not only you, the Colts, but the Titans, the Jaguars, and Houston. You really think they haven't gone through enough headaches? Deshaun Watson, is he even going to start or is he going to get traded? Jacksonville, they got 3 years to build this thing with Urban Meyer and Trevor Lawrence, their number 1 overall pick, but they have no defense. They're working on offense first before they even work on the defense. That's all gonna build itself. And then the Tennessee Titans. They go and get Julio Jones. So that means they're going to be an offensive powerhouse. Well, wait a minute. They did just release Jonnu Smith and lost him to free agency to the Patriots. And then not to mention, they had to get Bud Dupree because they have no pass rush. But outside of Kevin Byard, who am I going to trust on the corners? Well, every single one of the wide receivers are burning you on routes. You got Trevor Lawrence and Ryan Tannehill and others throwing deep balls. Tennessee's not even going to have a capable secondary core that's going to be shut down outside of Kevin Byard. The Colts right now are in such a lopsided division in the South. They really are. So with this talk with Carson Wentz being out 5 to 12 weeks, I'm not afraid of this. First and foremost, we already know about the injury histories to Carson Wentz. Okay? But first of all, can you really blame all those injuries on him? Philadelphia, as it reverts back to 2017, okay, they had a healthy year. They had star wide receivers. They had a protective offensive line, but they also had really good defensive core guys, Fletcher Cox, Brandon Brooks. They had a lot of people, Malcolm Jenkins. And it took them all the way to the Super Bowl. And they win it. The problem of it was Carson suffered an injury right there by the end of the season and it's playoff time. And Nick Foles stepped in and he did his job. Good. Cool. But here's the other part. The offensive line had deteriorated injury after injuries. Blown calls and signals. They hadn't really given Carson Wentz enough stability. They haven't. And on top of all that, he suffers injury after injury. And everybody wants to play this Nick Foles is better than Carson Wentz debate, which is silly. It really is. It was a comical thing in like 2000 something. Okay? We're not even talking about this whole debate anymore. So Carson Wentz, everybody wanted to blame of inaccuracies, gets benched for Jalen Hurts because he didn't like the pick. He didn't love the pick. And on top of it, wasn't willing to work with him, which I honestly think is a load of BS. I do. Because on top of it, think about all of the dysfunctions Philadelphia was going through. You have wide receivers who won't even stay healthy, not even Jalen Reagor or Deshaun Jackson. And then you're trusting guys like J.J. Arcega-Whiteside, Travis Fulgham, and all of these like practice wide receivers just to get you to the playoffs. Okay? And on top of all that, Philadelphia made it to the playoffs. They made it into the playoffs in 97. What were the odds of that? And then you have this past season where Carson Wentz had inaccuracies, gets benched, Jalen Hurts comes in. They needed some juice. I understood it. But then eventually they piss off the Giants. They sit Jalen Hurts, put in Nate Sudfeld, and they throw the game away just so that Washington can get into the playoffs. We already know this. But Doug Peterson loses his job. Carson Wentz is traded to Indianapolis. And so at the end of the day, Carson goes to Indianapolis with hopes of a healthy offensive line, really good offensive weaponry from the running backs to the wide receivers and even to the tight ends. And he's got a capable defense with Darius Leonard, Bobby Okereke, DeForest Buckner, and a bunch of really good impactful players, and gets hurt in practice. Okay, here's the thing. Frank Reich was a former quarterback and backed up Jim Kelly. You don't think he would have figured out this quarterback, this quarterback chaos? I'm pretty sure that he could. Here's the thing. You have a kid named Jacob Eason that you drafted out of Washington, problems, inaccuracies, and all the rest of it. But Frank Reich had him sit for a year under Phillip Rivers, and he learned from it. You don't think they would be okay with him just to start for maybe 3, maybe 4 games till Carson comes back? Or what about, their other backup after him? You really think that Sam Ehlinger wouldn't be capable of those duties? I'm not looking for a Carson Wentz type quarterback. I'm not looking for even a Tom Brady type quarterback. I just want a quarterback to execute the job. That's all you need. And you've got a protective offensive line with Quentin Nelson and the rest of them. What more do I need my quarterback to do? I know what people are saying, and I know how people are feeling about this Carson Wentz injury. But here's the thing. You going and trading for another quarterback is not going to solve your problems. I heard about all of this. I heard about this Nick Foles trade, which, do you really think Carson Wentz wants to go through that again after he dealt with that in Philly? I don't think so. That's off the map. What about Jimmy Garoppolo in San Francisco? Because rumors I've been told, Trey Lance, their number 3 pick in the draft, seems to be really, really good and is battling for that quarterback spot in San Francisco. But Jimmy Garoppolo is injury prone. Similar situation. Why would I want to dump that? I wouldn't. Take that off the table. Okay, I've heard it all. The Colts are in this, I'm not going to say in this well, because they're not. They have really, really good talent. They really do. But after Andrew Luck retired, they have been looking for quarterback after quarterback, whether it's the draft or whether it's free agency or trades or however you will. I mean, what my biggest thing is, I know you're going to freak out about it first off. Yes. But I also know that there is that plan in place. Carson Wentz is not a complete dump. Don't get fooled into that. Don't get fooled into that just yet. Because I know how Eagles fans feel like. Eagles fans right now, they're like, thank God Carson's out of Philly. But remember, too, Doug Peterson had his moments. So has Howie. So has Jeffrey Lurie. And that's why Philadelphia was in the position that they were in last year. And by the way, Indianapolis got into the playoffs with an older Phillip Rivers that can't really throw accurate balls like he used to anymore. So it almost seems like he's shot putting everything. They still got to the playoffs. You see where I'm going with all of this? The Colts are going to be just fine. There's no need to panic. There's no need to freak out. Okay? And if things end up going wrong, of course they're going to look at Frank Reich before they even look at Chris Ballard. Because the more and more Carson Wentz, if he gets hurt 2 more times, then it's on Chris Ballard. But really, can you blame it on him? He didn't make that decision initially when it came to Andrew Luck. He just didn't have the offensive line the second that he was 11-5, 11-5, 11-5 for straight years. And then eventually it got better. And Andrew Luck started to get comfortable, but it seemed like it was a little too late. Look at what's happening in Houston with Deshaun Watson. Barely an offensive line outside of Laramie Tunsil. And is going to be in this position where they're not going to do well. We don't even know if Deshaun is going to be healthy or whether or not if he's actually going to play because of this whole thing with Houston. Okay? You're in a lopsided division in the AFC South. Titans are the only ones that you could be competitive with, but their defensive secondary is going to get exposed. The Jags are nowhere close right now to where they want to be, but they're working on it. Give this puppy 3 years. And Trevor Lawrence, I promise you, is going to be a dangerous quarterback. And then you have Urban Meyer in the middle of that mix. But that's it. The Colts will be just fine in that division. You got plenty of time. You got plenty of weeks. The Colts end up going 4-1, if not 3-2. I mean, hey, you've got serviceable quarterbacks just to do the job. There were teams like that before that had serviceable quarterbacks that all you need is for them to do the job. And then when the star quarterback came in, it was all let loose from there. But I would not give up on this Carson Wentz thing, not yet. Because the last thing you want to do, Indianapolis, is you want to point the finger at Carson Wentz, you want to point the finger at Frank Reich, and point the finger at Chris Ballard. Ask Philadelphia how that panned out. It didn't pan out so well when all of that came around. It really didn't. So I would not be giving up on this thing on Carson Wentz whatsoever. Not one bit. So, it's been interesting in the NBA. But let me just tell you something here about two sports iconic teams. Two of them that all of us have been, we know the merchandise. We know all of this stuff. And they've been one of the premier franchises. So the two I'm talking about are the Lakers and the Yankees. Okay, just in the past couple days, we had the Yankees who ended up acquiring Joey Gallo, and they ended up getting Anthony Rizzo from the Cubs and the Rangers. They acquire superstars. The Yankees are in the position that they are in right now because they know they're about games behind from Boston and Tampa, and they want to make it into the postseason. They want to get better. And on top of all of this, I mean, there's a reason that all of this is in play. But they go and get superstars. The Lakers made a trade to get Russell Westbrook. Russell Westbrook. Hyper athletic. Can't shoot threes. But he's a show to watch. Triple doubles machine. And they traded away Kyle Kuzma, KCP, and others. And Alex Caruso just left. So now you have LeBron, Anthony Davis, and Russell Westbrook, which, by the way, each of them have suffered injuries. AD is unreliable. Let me give you the focal point on both these organizations because they are a lot more alike than you think. Let me start with the Yankees. The Yankees for years have never built young talents. They never have. And that's why they go and get superstar talent. Because they realize they can't really build a lot of guys from under their farm system. They can't. The only one who was successful, this man right above me, Derek Jeter, spent 20 years with the Yankees. And on top of it, they go and make trades to go and get Alex Rodriguez from Texas. They go and get Mark Teixeira. They go and get Bobby Abreu. They go and get Jason Giambi. They made trades to go and get Mike Mussina at one point and AJ Burnett and CeCe Sabathia. They had buck loads of talent. Now they want to start working on their young cores like Gary Sanchez and Aaron Judge, but it's not as easy and as simple as you think. It's really not. So the Yankees win championships by buying superstars. The Lakers, on the other hand, look at the position that they are in right now and the position that they were in before. First of all, did you really think that they won a championship just by building their young core and their farm system? Hell no, that they did not. And that's never been their MO and their IQ in Los Angeles because it's Los Angeles. It's a big, star town. The place where all the stars and the celebrities and the athletes, they all want to be here. That's how it is. And the Lakers, the only person that they actually built up was Magic Johnson, Kobe Bryant, and that's it. Then they went and got superstars like Karl Malone, Gary Payton, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. They then ended up getting they ended up getting Pau Gasol, Metta World Peace, Anthony Davis, and LeBron James. They inherit superstars. That's what it's all about. The Yankees and Lakers right now are in the position where they are getting superstars. They want to end up getting into this whole hype that, they're getting all the superstars. So they've got plenty of veteran presence and they're going to end up going into the finals. Is it really that easy? And that's where the term, the rich get richer. Because you have enough money and revenue from your merchandises, ticket sales, and so much more that goes toward the expenses of all those contracts to where they could pay for superstars. And by the way, when Kobe Bryant retired, and even beforehand, the Lakers took a whole entire playoff hiatus because a lot of them were young kids. D'Angelo Russell, Julius Randle, Josh Hart, Brandon Ingram, Kyle Kuzma, Lonzo Ball. They had a lot of these young kids. You couldn't coach them. They weren't ready yet. And this is precisely the reason why that I have said over the years that the NBA never appreciates college basketball. They never appreciate them. All these kids are coming in by age 17, 18 with potential shoe deals. They want to be superstars right off the bat, but we don't even know if they can play in this league. That's why draft picks are such throwaways. In baseball, it's different because each and every single one of these players that come in these player drafts, they start from, the Arizona Fall League or Single A and then work their way till they get to the show. Then the more and more they're consistent with their numbers, then that's when the payday comes. You look at Fernando Tatis Jr. You look at Ronald Acuna. You look at Aaron Judge, and you look at a lot of different players, even Mike Trout. They get the big, heavy contracts. But that's because that they build through those systems. But for the Yankees and the Lakers to win championships in these prestigious franchises, you got to buy superstars. That's the MO. That's always been the plan. It's never changed. Why do you think a lot of these young kids succeed in other places? Because, first of all, these prestigious franchises have no time of building these players. They have no time. It's either win now or we miss the playoffs. That's what it's been with the Lakers and the Yankees. That's why the Yankees got Anthony Rizzo and Joey Gallo, because they need help with hitting. They also need to score more runs. They need to get better with pitching. And eventually they're going to make their way into the postseason. And then it's the Lakers. Why the Lakers need to get back into the playoffs? Because you got to have guys that know how to go with the plan, and they got to go with the whole strategy. That's the only reason. And both these franchises are more alike. But they will never understand what it means to build within your system, like how you saw with Oklahoma City, like how you saw with Philadelphia at some point. They were building some of their superstars until they were into the point of they're in the playoffs every year in the East. And then you have in baseball, the A's, the Giants, the Padres, the Dodgers are such a premier franchise, and they're so expendable. And this is the funny thing about Los Angeles, is that the Padres were initially going to get Max Scherzer, but Andrew Freeman and the rest of them said, "Oh no. We're going to do something better. We're going to give you one of our best prospected catchers. We're going to give you one of our best prospected pitchers, and then we're also going to throw in at least a couple of players, and we'll get Max Scherzer and Trey Turner." Why? The Dodgers are so expendable. They have so much talent that they build from the ground up that they can make those trades. They can get better with it. And then they still have up-and-coming players to get better. That's how the business works. It's figuring out what you have and what you can work with. Lakers and Yankees, they will never figure that out, and that's okay. But just know this, that the money revenue that you get in Los Angeles and New York, it's expensive. It's expensive to live there. Vegas is up and coming, where they might be an expensive town, and I live here, but all I can say is that they are so much alike than you think, with the same similar mentality. The Lakers, everybody wants to say Russell Westbrook is a fit in this organization, but remember the sacrifices you put into it to make this happen. And the same with the Yankees. The Yankees ended up making all these trades just to go and get more bats. And then they ended up trying to get their pitching healthy and right so they can get back into the postseason wagon. And who knows how far that's going to go. But it'll be interesting for the next couple of years. Coming up next, it's very interesting how I could kind of see, the basically as I pull this up from here. So first of all, I'm going to answer up the Chris Paul and the Kawhi Leonard thing because we know where Chris Paul is. So Chris Paul's back with the Suns for about 4 more years, $120 million. I don't know if that's worth it. I really don't. That's a lot of money. And especially for an older player that ain't getting any younger. But Kawhi Leonard is right now, he's on the free agent block. Hasn't made a decision yet, but I'm going to explain it from there. But also at the end of it, I have the NFL division predictions as I usually do. And we're focusing on the NFC West, focusing on the Seahawks, the Rams, the Cardinals, and the 49ers. Because this is a tough division outside of the AFC West. The West division themselves, no matter what conference, it gets tougher and tougher. I'm going to have my prediction coming up next. All right, so all of my fans from here, all of them that I'm sure you guys are fantasy, you guys are big-time fantasy guys, fantasy players, wherever you guys may be, coast to coast, far and wide. You guys love fantasy and you love winning cold, hard cash. Well, there is an app and there is a website you can go to called thrivefantasy.com. And this is a nice website where every week you get refreshed with a lot of different buy-ins, with a lot of different pool plays. And you could be winning up now closely into the NFL week 1, up to $100,000 in pool play. And you put in your money deposit. It's $20 to start with for your money deposit. But here's a special treat for you. When you go online and you download it onto your mobile app through Google Play and the App Store, use promo code SS Network. And SS Network, when you use that promo code, Thrive Fantasy promises to match that $20 deposit you put in earlier and match it to $50. So that means more pool play and you guys get more opportunities of winning cold hard cash. What are you guys waiting for? Go to thrivefantasy.com, use promo code SS Network, thrivefantasy.com, promo code SS Network.
Once a raider, bruh, always a raider, bruh. Shit simple as that. You look silver and black. Lot of bread invested in that old line. Car insurance cost the arm and the leg to reach that goal line. It's go time.
I feel like the grass is green, and everything I do is unseen. But I know that's just in my mind. I know everything is just in my mind. Do you really want to be famous? Do you really want to be a superstar? Do you really want to get dangerous? Do you even know where the groupies are? Bitches out here be-
Welcome to Hammer's house. Welcome to the My City, My Game pod show featuring Raider J77, your place for all things Raiders and all things Trailblazers. Brought to you by the Spotlight Sports Network. Make sure you like, subscribe, and hit the bell for notifications. Now let's go.
Man, oh man, oh man. I gotta tell you, before I show my face up over here. Hey, there's my beautiful face again. Here's the thing. I really want to acknowledge this because first and foremost, this is the biggest news in hockey. But the Chicago Blackhawks are happy to announce that Marc-Andre Fleury did say on social media that he is willing to play. They've already got a sweater. They've already got his jersey number and his last name, and he's all smiles. But I'm very excited to at the very least see him play. But you already know how I feel about it. You already know that I feel like that the PR department needs to clean this bad boy up, because that's kind of embarrassing when you've got one of the league's nicest, if not hardest competitors in the game and gets treated this way. And I for one, was absolutely shocked and stunned. But I hope that, because again, the word's going to get out with this whole Chicago incident. It's going to get out. But hoping that, he really plays well. He's such an entertainment to watch. Love him, classy. And I met him before. And not like certain people you'd think. He was the type of guy that was nicest guy walking through, dressed up sharp, buttoned up his tie, and was a guy that was very professional. But, when you deal with something like that, that's just where you that's not exactly how you would treat most of these people, especially when they have such respect in the league. Absolutely not. All right, so we already know about where Chris Paul's headed to. So Chris Paul said he's staying with Phoenix, wants another run at it, but is wanting a lot more than you think. 4 years, $120 million contract extension. And I'll just tell you this. The Suns better get back into the playoffs with this, because that is not a cheap contract. And on top of all that, I understand with Chris Paul and what impact he's made on Devin Booker, DeAndre Ayton, Cam Payne, and also Cameron Johnson. I know what impacts he's made with those players. But now it's getting into serious mode. And so who knows if Phoenix, if they might end up making a run like they did this past year. I don't know if they're going to make a run like that again, because the Lakers want to get back into it. The Clippers want to get better. Denver wants to get healthy. And then you've also got Dallas in the middle of the mix. And let me just tell you something here that I think I could finally end up pointing out. Kawhi Leonard. We've all spoke about Kawhi Leonard and what he's limited to. Kawhi is a really good player. He's the assassin. Doesn't speak much, but is also a guy that is heavy on steals. He's a guy that will give me bucket points, and is a guy that I can utilize in really good rosters. Can you build a team around him? Probably not, because he's not vocal, doesn't speak. He's anytime when he ends up talking into, certain interviews or certain places, he's goofy. He plays off all this goofy stunts, and then, it explains a lot of things. And you're just kind of going, what the hell is he talking about? But that's always been Kawhi Leonard. Goofy, a little oddball. But I can't build a franchise around him. You got to have vocal leaders. You got to have guys that are willing to be up on the same page. I understand that Kawhi wanted to play with Paul George rather than play with Russell Westbrook. And let's be honest, Russell Westbrook is hard to play with. We knew that. The second he went to Washington, things kind of changed. So who knows what the Lakers are going to look like with LeBron and Anthony Davis? Who knows? And what Kawhi wanted to do was be close to Los Angeles, where his family is, and he went to college at San Diego State. I understand this whole thing. But at the same time, not a vocal leader and not a guy that I would trust running a franchise, because first and foremost, I mean, you got really good premier talent. But at the end of the day, think about how the Clippers have finished. The Clippers didn't even finish themselves like really good in the playoffs. They eventually ended up getting beat by the Suns. And I thought it was a very entertaining series. But the Suns had the momentum. And it was a lot. And that's how the Suns ended up getting into the finals. The Clippers, as I've said, are continuously being the laughingstock in the NBA because they live under the basement of the Lakers. Okay? They want to win a championship badly. But there is no voice in that organization. Paul George at times could be the voice, but then eventually he kind of gets put back in his place. And I feel like that if there are a couple of destinations, but I know he's probably not going to end up leaving Los Angeles because of his family. But if I had to think of an ideal place, and people have talked about it, I really do think Mark Cuban and the Dallas Mavericks really need to make their move with this, because Luka Doncic, as you know, is really going to run this league after LeBron retires. Young kid, 22 years old. He's played with guys that are in their 30s in overseas. And he's done remarkable things. Shoots threes, gives me important buckets, is energetic, can talk smack. He can be a voice. And Kawhi Leonard, all I would need you to do is just give me important buckets, because you know what? I can't trust Kristaps Porzingis to be healthy on the floor. And think about it. They just extended Tim Hardaway Jr. for a lengthy contract, which I think is smart. You're getting at least an important piece in that organization that can give you those buckets, that can give you those shots. So it's smart. But if you really wanted to play the cards right, I mean, Dallas has to make an offer. That's all you need. And I think Luka is more than deserving of having another superstar right there next to him that you can count on, rely on at times. I don't need him to do everything. I just need him to contribute on the floor, in the perimeter, around the wing, and give me important shots and buckets. And at the same time, time management. You got to keep the possession on your side. And so, if anything, with this Kawhi Leonard thing, I mean, I don't think he's really going to leave the Clippers. I could be wrong, but if there's one ideal destination, Mark Cuban, come on. You've got the money. You find ways to make the contract worth it. So that's where I think Dallas would be the ideal fit. Time now for hot press, shall we? All right. So this was an interesting move. So the Miami Heat and Kyle Lowry have agreed to a deal. They do, however, retain Duncan Robinson, but Kyle Lowry's headed down to South Beach to Miami to join the Heat and join Jimmy Butler and the rest of them for 5 years, $90 million contract extension. So Kyle Lowry leaving the North to go to South Beach. This is an interesting move, but I think I honestly, I like it. Because you know what this is doing? This is putting heat on the young kids, Duncan Robinson and Tyler Hero. Tyler Hero disappeared last year. He was not the same. Honestly, he had that bubble magic when once COVID hit and everybody played in the bubble. That was what he got, was momentum. But now it's time to get serious. So Kyle Lowry's coming in, hoping to, at the very least, make the guards competitive. And I like this move initially because that's another guy that can give me some buckets, that can also play in the same pace of play as Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo. So I think Eric Spoelstra, as I've said before, he's a good enough coach. This is not a coaching matter. This is more of, can the kids play or not? So I think Kyle Lowry, and in the way that Miami went about this, they want to get back into the playoffs. They felt embarrassed after they got swept by Milwaukee. And like that, this is kind of a wake-up call for them. So the Chicago Bulls, here's what's interesting. The Chicago Bulls are getting serious since management change. So they have agreed with a signed trade agreement for 4 years and $85 million with Lonzo Ball comes out of New Orleans and he's going to Southside. And, he's going to the south side of Chicago. And then you've also got Alex Caruso. So the Bulls are getting themselves a pair of guards, and all the Bulls needed was shooting, and they also need perimeter guys. But the other thing of it is Lonzo Ball could pass. He could pass, and he can open up the floor for anybody. This is actually good news for Zach LaVine and a couple of other really good potential guys. I've been speaking about this to my colleagues, and I said, they're not going to win a championship this season. Calm down. Calm down. What they're going to do is they're going to punch their ticket into the playoffs because, let's be honest, the East is going to get competitive, but Chicago may be up on this map. Chicago will make the playoffs. This is putting them into the map as a destination for a lot of other potential superstars. Maybe not this year, but by next year and maybe the year after that they'll come to Chicago, and Chicago will be back on the map of being a competitive team. They hadn't been like that since the decade of the 90s. That's it. And so I'm happy to see Chicago do what they did today. And I really, really do think, give it about a couple of years, Chicago is going to be a lot better than you think. So, like I mentioned about the Lakers before, when they add superstars, well, they just ended up welcoming back Dwight Howard, Trevor Ariza, and Wayne Ellington. So again, they're getting more familiar faces. They're getting they're getting superstar guys that they've been in this league for so long, and that's just how they are. That's just really how they are. So again, the Lakers will make the playoffs. They'll have veteran experience and veteran leadership. You're still getting that with LeBron, but either way, you got to have somebody that's trustworthy on that side. But again, this will be interesting to see with how the Lakers finish up this next year. The New York Knicks, they agreed to re-sign Derrick Rose, Alec Burks, and Nerlens Noel, but they also added Evan Fournier to a 4-year deal. So this is going to be kind of a thought. The Knicks make the playoffs in a shortened season that the NBA plays. Awesome. New York is officially back. But I only say that as a nice gesture, not a grand one, because we don't want to get far ahead as to the Knicks are going to end up going into the championship. They may go to the finals, but they are on the stepping stones to get there. Okay. Evan Fournier is a good piece. He's not a great one, but they had added a lot more depth. They re-signed guys. Derrick Rose, as you mentioned, reuniting with Tom Thibodeau, it worked. He's been the healthiest he's ever been. Good for Derrick Rose, because I have been waiting for this for years. I think we all have. But the Knicks are officially back up onto the map. They'll be a competitive team. And honestly, with the depth that they have, these are young kids that are actually going to get better and better. And by the way, Obi Toppin and RJ Barrett are only going to start to get themselves on the positive upside. So that's what it's going to look to be. That's what it's going to look to be for the next couple of years. Good for the Knicks. Now let's see exactly how competitive they get by this next year. I'm excited for it. So right now, what's interesting? The Bills general managing, they have had no in-season talk about a possible contract extension with their young star quarterback, Josh Allen. I understand why, because first of all, why would we even have this conversation in the in-season? I know that we're going into preseason, and Josh Allen is very much your guy. You fixed the Stephon Diggs thing. The defense got a little better. The offensive line is getting a little healthier, and you got Dawson Knox and a couple of other different options. But the Bills have got to get themselves into over-the-top mode. I do think they can. Josh Allen is a good kid, was overlooked so badly by a lot of scouts, but he's gotten better and better as years and years to come. So that was your hot press. Coming up next, my best for last. And as you mentioned before, I've already done the AFC East. I've already done the NFC South or the NFC North. And I've done the AFC South. And again, I'm still sticking to the predictions, regardless if Carson Wentz is hurt. I'm not changing that with the Titans. I'm not. You're not gonna throw this at my face. But I'm gonna focus on the NFC West because let's be honest, the Rams get Matthew Stafford and they're gonna get better. Russell Wilson gets an offensive line that he asked for publicly. Nice set. Then you've got the San Francisco 49ers, where Trey Lance is making huge progress. They love their pick. And then you have the Arizona Cardinals with Kyler Murray and J.J. Watt and with so many others. I'm going to explain that here coming up after this break. What are you guys waiting for? Because I know all of you guys, all of my loyal subscribers, my faithful fans up out there, you guys love the show and you guys also love the network that we're on. But why not rep for the network? We've got merchandise, hats, t-shirts, hoodies, so much more that you could go to, and even cell phone cases. Okay, we have it all up over there to show off for your favorite show and your favorite network as well. Go online to the SpotlightSportsNetwork.com under the merchandise section, powered by Spreadshirt, and get yourself some merchandise. Because, by the way, this up and coming 2 days on this month, from August 4th to August 7th, when you go online and you shop, you get 15% off everything. So it's a little discounted price, courtesy of everybody here on Spotlight Sports Network. Go online, SpotlightSportsNetwork.com, merchandise section, powered by Spreadshirt.
But I know that's just in my mind. I know everything is just in my mind. Do you really want to be famous? Do you really want to be a superstar? Do you really want to get dangerous? Do you even know where the groupies are? Bitches out here be...
Welcome to Hamler's house.
Once a Raider, bruh, always a Raider, bruh. Shit simple as that. You look silver and black. Lot of bread invested in that O-line. Car insurance cost the arm and a leg to reach that goal line. It's go time.
Welcome to the My City, My Game pod show featuring Raider J.87, your place for all things Raiders and all things Trailblazers. Brought to you by the Spotlight Sports Network. Make sure you like, subscribe, and hit the bell for notifications. Now let's go.
So, of course, by the way, I mean, I've been watching a lot of these baseball trades, and listen, for Cubs fans, you got to feel happy and proud of the fact that, Anthony Rizzo, Chris Bryant, Javi Baez, Craig Kimbrell, and even Andrew Chafin, a lot of these guys that came out of the Cubs organization. It's sad to see them all leave, but ever since Theo Epstein left, it's been different. It's been very, very different for the Chicago Cubs moving forward. I just truly think that in the middle of this whole thing, I liked what I saw. Anthony Rizzo is performing very well with the New York Yankees. Chris Bryant right now hit his first home run with the Giants, and he looks like he's going to be dialed in with Evan Longoria and Brandon Crawford and so many others, and they're trying to make a push. they're really trying to make a push at this thing in to the playoffs. I really do think that's the case. That's the case in point. So I'm not sure how all of this is going to really work out, but he's been looking good. And then same with Javier Baez in the Mets. First of all, funny thing is him and Francisco Lindor played with each other at the World Baseball Classic for Puerto Rico, along with Carlos Correa. I think they've been looking really, really good. And honestly, it's a lot of fun watching the two of them together. Lots of smiles. So, best of luck to all those guys. And I know, again, I know it's got to feel horrible for a lot of these Cubs fans, but at the same time, they got picks. They got a lot to really look forward to. So we'll see what happens. All right, so I appreciate every single one of you guys for coming up onto the show and everything else. Thank you so much for tuning in and watching. Like I said, subscribe, hit the bell button for all latest notifications on future and past shows here on the Spotlight Sports Network and also on the Snake Sports Talk Show. And you can also follow me on Facebook, follow me on Twitter, Instagram, subscribe to YouTube, follow me on Twitch as well. And let's get our fan base going because we are literally close to 400 subscribers. We're already at 386. We can get to 400, and we're almost close. We're at 936, almost close to 1,000 subscribers on the network as a whole. And I do think we can get over the hump. We can get past that mountain. So let's do it. All right. So my best for last, as I do it all NFL season. So I've already gave you my predictions on the AFC East, the NFC North, AFC South. Now I'm focusing on the NFC West. I'm all around the map. So the NFC West consists of the Cardinals, Seahawks, Rams, and 49ers. This is the second, if not the first, it's tied as the best division in football. Russell Wilson, Matthew Stafford, Jimmy Garoppolo, and Trey Lance, Trey Lance, and then also Kyler Murray. Those are all those big-time quarterbacks. But also you look at the coaching. Sean McVay, Cliff Kingsbury, and Kyle Shanahan, and even Pete Carroll. These are a lot of really good coaches in this division. That's why I'm not kind of shunned by this. But it is tough to really kind of predict the division as a whole because it's so competitive. It's so tough. But we'll break it down bit by bit. So here we go. Number 4, as I'm showing here for the NFC West, I'm going with the Arizona Cardinals. Listen, I know what a lot of people are going to tell me about the Arizona Cardinals, but I've got to see them get over the hump. It's not an easy division, folks. It really isn't. Kyler Murray is going into year 3, and we've seen him with DeAndre Hopkins. I really love what he's done with that. Then they go and get AJ Green. Larry Fitzgerald stays for one more year. Maybe it could be the last year until he retires. And then they go and get J.J. Watt from the Houston Texans. So the defense is going to have a veteran voice there because Isaiah Simmons needs to get better at his position. They do lose Patrick Peterson, but they do have Budda Baker. I like what they're doing, but it's a tough division. Can Cliff Kingsbury overcome those adversities? And could Kyler Murray really take this Cardinals team over the top? It's very tough. And by the way, Chandler Jones, which was weird, is he's not happy with the contract he has in Arizona. And why? You have a really good group. I would not be changing a thing with this team. All I need to know is, can you get over those obstacles? Can you get stronger at defense? Can you protect Kyler Murray at all costs? Because I am tired of, I like watching Kyler Murray run, but I'm tired of seeing him run for his life, and they're not protecting him because I know he could throw the deep ball for DeAndre Hopkins and company. So that's my question for number 4. Number 3, this might surprise all of you, but Seattle. Listen, I love Russell Wilson. I also do like Pete Carroll. They addressed the offensive line, but at the same time, they did lose some defensive pieces. They still have veteran guys like Bobby Wagner, KJ Wright, and they also have Jamal Adams. But Seattle, what the hell happened to them in the last couple games before the playoffs. And by the way, they lost to the team in front of them that I'm going to end up putting up onto the board here in just a moment, when Jared Goff was their quarterback and he suffered a broken thumb in the game. And Russ got sacked 5 times. That's why they needed to get the offensive line right. He publicly came out at this. Seattle answered, they listened, and then they went and got offensive help. They went and got O-line help. So Russ is good from there. And again, enough with these nonchalant, like Russ wants out of Seattle. He never said that. That's the dumbest, stupidest thing that mainstream media could possibly put up out there, thinking Russell Wilson wants out of the Seahawks. Why? I already knew that the second Russ leaves, they're irrelevant again. The Seahawks will never find another great quarterback like Russ again in like the next 5 to 7 years. That's it. Because college football quarterback talent is not that easy to come by. It's very rare. And you might as well groom him up and you might as well make him happy while you still have the extension. So that's number 3, Seattle Seahawks. Number 2, the LA Rams. Okay, people are going to give me crap for this, but here's my thing. The defense was number 1 in the league last year, and you also had Aaron Donald going back-to-back with Defensive Player of the Year. You also have Jalen Ramsey, Leonard Floyd. Now, they did lose John Johnson and a couple of others, but they do have Darius Williams. I like what they did with their entire defense. It'll be different with losing Brandon Staley, who goes to the Chargers on the other side as a head coach. So I do think the defenses might take a slight toll, but Sean McVay is smart at this. And here's the thing. If they trusted Jared Goff enough, they would have never made a trade to go and get Matthew Stafford. And that's exactly what they did. Stafford is going into a healthier offensive line. They may lose Cam Akers for the run, but you got Cooper Kupp, you got Robert Woods, and you do have Deshaun Jackson, and you have a couple of other pieces. But again, this table might flip between the Rams and the Seahawks. It may flip, but this is just a prediction for right now. I want to see what Matthew Stafford can do with a healthier offensive line. And now that he's out of a tire fire organization like Detroit, I'd like to see how he can perform with this Rams group with Sean McVay, and hopefully he is every penny that the general managing gave him. And finally, number 1 at the NFC West, I can't count out San Francisco. I really, really can't. Nick Bosa, Fred Warner, and a lot of these guys are coming back up on defense. They're getting healthier. And by the way, they just extended Trent Williams at the offensive line. And here's the other best part that's going to make 49er fans smile very, very heavily. But Trey Lance, the number 3 overall pick at quarterback, has made significant progress at practice. He is competing with Jimmy Garoppolo. And Jimmy G has been injured, brittle, and I don't know what left you got in him. But I understand the argument, because outside of Jimmy Garoppolo, Kyle Shanahan has not had the best record with quarterbacks not named Jimmy Garoppolo. That has been the MO. It's going to be very interesting. Brandon Ayuk, and they do get at least a couple good wide receiver talents. And Raheem Mostert and a couple others. The run game's going to be pretty solid. But again, quarterback option. That's why for me, for Jimmy Garoppolo, I'm giving it 5 weeks. If you have Jimmy G injured within those 5 weeks, in comes Trey Lance. They're not going to say no to this. They're not going to say no to this whole idea. They're going to groom him up the best way possible. The 49ers are just as a competitive organization. I mean, it's going to be a dog-eat-dog type division. You got the Rams, the Seahawks, and the 49ers that are very competitive. The Cardinals need to get over that hump. But this is a very, very competitive division. It's difficult. I mean, you look at the other side of the conference at the AFC West, and it's just as competitive over there outside of the Denver Broncos. So, but I like this. Arizona at 4, Seattle at 3, the Rams at 2, and the Niners at 1. this could change. This could be a rippling change effect for this up and coming season. Trey Lance is looking really good. The Rams now have Matthew Stafford. Russell Wilson is happy with an offensive line upgrade, and who knows what's in store for the Arizona Cardinals. So this is a tough division. It's going to be a lot of fun. I would not anticipate the fact that this could change at any time, but because it's a longer season now, who knows how these players are going to be coming back, either healthy or hurt or however, but it's going to be a very, very competitive division. I'm excited for it. I really do like the look I have on this. I think it's reasonable, but could change for the foreseeable future. Well, thank you guys so much for tuning in. I really do appreciate it. Have a great night. And like I said, like, subscribe, hit the bell button, keep yourselves up to date, and we'll see you guys Wednesday night. Take care.